Hello, my name is Vijay Nagarajan and welcome back to another programming video. I'll be using Visual Studio Code and I'll be coding in Python. Now, let's ask ourselves a question. What if we could get the weather of any city or state from any country? We could just grab it. And what we'll do is we can just get the 79 degrees and print it out. So right now, this is the temperature of Erie, PA. So this is Erie in Pennsylvania. And as you can see, the temperature is 79 degrees. What if we could just get that? Or we can get the temperature of, I don't know, Sacramento, California. What if we could just grab this smoke? We could just grab this 78 degrees. What if we could just get that? The question is, how do we get this? Well, it's actually not that hard. It uses something called selenium. Okay? Now you're probably asking yourself, what is selenium? Well, selenium is kind of like something you can import. So selenium is like random, but this time, of course, you want to test it. You do pip install selenium test. That works. I'm using Visual Studio Code, as I said before. If you get selenium into working on this, nice job. So what you want to do is, now let's get to the coding. So to import selenium, we want to get a WebDriver. Now the WebDriver is the WebDriver will help us get Chrome or Edge. Of course, Chrome is the easiest to do, so we'll be using Chrome. Make sure you have Chrome installed on your computer. I obviously have Chrome installed. I use Chrome most of the time. So from Selenium, you want to import WebDriver. So inside Selenium, there are many things. We're importing WebDriver. Now, from WebDriver, there's something called WebDriver Manager Chrome. So we're getting from WebDriver Manager.chrome, we're importing Chrome Driver Manager. And this is allowing us to access Chrome. Now we've installed, we haven't installed, but we've gotten our Chrome Driver Manager. So let's repeat the code one more time. We're going to go from Selenium, because there's many things in Selenium. We want to just get the WebDriver. So from Selenium, we want to import WebDriver, and WebDriver will help us get Chrome. Then WebDriver is something called WebDriver _manager.chrome. All of that is lowercase. So from that, we're going to import capital C, lowercase h, lowercase r, lowercase o, lowercase m, lowercase e, capital D, lowercase r, lowercase I, lowercase v, lowercase e, lowercase r, capital M, lowercase a, lowercase n, lowercase a, lowercase g, lowercase e, lowercase r. Pretty simple, right? So we've just gotten WebDriver Manager and we imported Chrome Driver Manager. So now it's time for the actual coding that's not important, pretty much. So we're going to create two variables, and this variable will allow us to access the city and the state. So how do we get any city and state? We want to get, so it's the user's choice. What is that? With something called user input. Now, if you're doing Selenium, you probably should know what an input is. An input allows them to type in what they want. So we can say enter a city. Over here, you can say y equals input enter a state, and if they enter a country, Google because it's being developed by very smart programmers and software engineers, Google is able to correct it so that if they enter a country, it'll still work. So we have our input, which is a city and a state, and of course, if you put inside the state, you put like a country, Google is going to autocorrect it. Of course, we have to do that. We have to make Google autocorrect it. Python's not going to autocorrect. we have to get a link to that. So we want to create a variable. Now let's call this variable driver. Now you can call it anything you want. I'm calling it driver for a few reasons. One, driver is going to help us install Chrome driver. Is going to install Chrome driver manager in a web, and it's kind of like a web driver. In another way, it's kind of driving the code. So I'm gonna call it driver. Now you can call it D, you can call it river, you can even call it I don't know, access, because it's accessing Chrome. So to do this, you want to do WebDriver dot capital C Chrome, and in this you're going to do Chrome driver manager and parentheses dot install. Now install is a method, or you can say it's like a built-in function. So install, we want parentheses, okay? Because it's not an attribute, it's actually doing something. So install is going to have parentheses. So you want to do driver equals WebDriver.Chrome, parentheses Chrome driver manager, parentheses dot install, parentheses. Now if you run this code, it just should open up a blank page that says data. Let me show you what should happen. So we have our inputs. Now nothing's gonna actually happen with these inputs, so I can put, I don't know, let's just put Erie, then PA. And as you can see, it just opens up plain page data. Now why doesn't it open up Google.com or the weather? The answer is, it's because we haven't actually gotten the link. To get the link, you want to put the variable name, now mine is driver.get, because the driver is getting that link. Now, remember to put it in quotation, so grab your weather link. Our weather link is here, but you might notice it's different for every single city and state. So let's scroll back. It's different for every single city and state. So how do we get it? So that it can go for any city or state. Sorry, it's taking some time. Well, you want to notice what's different. It's the name. It's the names, the city and the state. Sacramento's a city. So we can plug in, using concatenation, we can put a string there, and then string here, and concatenate X. So that's our city. To get our state, we want to concatenate our Y, like this. And since Google is pretty smart, we can just do this. Because Google autocorrect, so we can delete everything up to OQ equals weather. Everything after OQ equals weather, delete it. Gone. The link will still work because Google is smart enough to autocorrect. Now, what is this link doing? We noticed that the difference is the city and the state. So what we did was we used concatenation to plug in the variables that store the city and the state. And what this will do is it'll open up the weather, the link. But what we really want to do is we want to be able to actually get the weather. So let's first test this part out. So if you can actually open up the link. So to do this, we want to enter a city. So let's enter Pittsburgh. And our state is PA. It opens up and it loads. Weather, Pittsburgh, PA, bam, 89 degrees. As you can see, Google is able to autocorrect everything after weather because Google is pretty smart. Now, if you kept that thing after weather, the code would still work, but I don't want to have such a long line since it's already so long. I don't want to make it even longer. So now that we have gotten our link, we want to get that weather thing. So let's go back to our Erie, PA here. Okay, or Sacramento, California. So what Python is able to do is it's able to get HTML tags. Now, what are some HTML tags? Well, there's divs, there's spans, there's all these tags. So there's many ways that you can get tag, and you can get the ID. You can get it by class name. You can get it by attributes. There's so many ways. So if we inspect, we can figure out what the thing is. So we want to hit this thing to inspect. Let's inspect this. So as you can see, it's a span, but of course there's going to be so many spans. There's a span down here. There's a span up here. There's so many spans. How do we get it? So we only get this span. Well, we can see that it has an ID. Now, IDs are like things in HTML, and if you watch my alert quiz, you might have known what an ID is. So you can use JavaScript to get IDs, to get IDs and manipulate them. Well, in Python, you can get IDs in classes. Now, IDs are usually are better in Python. I feel they're usually going to be correct more, and there's probably going to be less errors. So I would use an ID, but you technically can use class. So I'll show the ID. So to do that, we're going to get the ID as WobTM. But you might be wondering, hey, the ID might be different depending on the city or state. But let's test that theory out. Well, let's do on Boston, MA. We want to inspect this. This 85 right here, let's click it. That is, as you can see, the ID is still WobTM. I'll try if it's out of America. Maybe let's try Mumbai, India. And we hit inspect. And as you can see, this 81, still an ID of WobTM. So what we can do is we can create another variable. Now let's call this Z, and it equals driver, because driver is the one with the links. Driver holds the links. We're going to do driver.find element. We don't want to find elements because that'll form a list. We just want to find element. Find element by, we're not doing it by class name. We're going to do it by ID. Right? So we're going to do by ID, and inside this we put parentheses. Inside this we put the ID name. Now our ID name was WobTM. So now the Z has the value of WobTM. But if we just print Z, it's not going to print that text because Z is not text. To print the text, what you want to do is put the variable name Z dot text. And watch it work. Watch it work at magic. So enter a city. Let's do Mexico City and state. This is actually a country. So, but since Google's smart, it'll work. Now watch this. It gets the link, it'll load it up, and 66. Let's test this. The degrees in Mexico City is 66 degrees. Perfect. So that's basically it. It's only 8 lines of code when you think about it. But of course, you can do much more things. Like over here, you can use your the same get ID to find. You can find a different ID. Get a different ID to find the precipitation, the humidity, the wind. Maybe you can make it click the precipitation, and then just get this 82% maybe, or maybe you could get it's cloudy. You can get that using IDs and Selenium. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I hope you try, instead of making what I do, try upgrading it. And bye.